Shalom, shalom. I'm gonna let the family get in the room and knowledge shall increase. All right? I'm gonna let the family get in the room. Shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High Yahweh. Bahashem Amashiach Yahweh Shah. That's God. Yahweh is God in Paleo Hebrew, and Yahweh Shah is the name of our Christ in Paleo Hebrew, name of Jesus in Paleo Hebrew. Before the Bibles was translated in any language, it was first written in Paleo Hebrew. All right, so knowledge shall increase, and this is for my blacks here in the Americas, the Caribbean islands, in UK. All right, all those who have surnames of our forefathers in the British Isles. All right, I'm gonna go to some scripture. I'm going to go to Isaiah 45:4, and it read, "For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me." The Most High more or less blessed us with these surnames, and only if we inquire and research our surnames, we will find the riches that's been hidden. I gotta remind y'all that these YTs, Edomites, they stolen our history, all right, even down to our names. So when we look into our names, we see Caucasian faces, all right. That's the whitewashing. That's what happened to us. Our history was stolen and whitewash. It wasn't even erased. It was whitewash. All right. So I beg y'all to look into y'all surnames, because a lot of our forefathers came here from Scotland and Ireland as prisoners of war and also colonists. All right. You got books like The Jacobite Gleaning. This book right here have a list of our forefathers coming into the colonies from England, Ireland, and Scotland. All right, it's called Jacobite Gleaning from State Manuscripts. Short sketches of the Jacobites. The transportation is 1745 by J. Macbeth Forbes. A lot of y'all forefathers, these were Jacobites, Jacobite prisoners of war who was fighting for our black king, King Charles Stewart. All right, just to make a side note, all of y'all with the surname Stewart, y'all come from a royal bloodline. I date back to King David. Thus says the Most High. Thus says history. It is written. All right. So in this, we're gonna say a few surnames in this book that hopefully it reaches the listener's ear, that it resonates to. So we have a brother with the surname Adam. He was a laborer from Sterling. He was 5'1", brown, smooth face. All right. So we have a brother that came into the Americas from England, Ireland, and Scotland with the surname Adam. All right. You can get that information from the book Jacobite Gleaning from State Manuscripts. A short sketch. All right. 1745 to be exact. All right. It have over, I believe, 250 surnames of our forefathers, of men coming into the colonies as prisoners of war. All right. All you have to do is buy the book and see if your forefather name is listed. And then once your forefather name is listed, you dig. All right. You look at where the surname originated in Europe. All right. Once you do that, you take a trip. And then you find out the imposters that's wearing your family's surname and ask the question, how did they attain this name? All right. And why do I think this name was given to me by a slave master? All right. So that's Jacobite Gleaning from State Manuscripts. All right. It shows that a lot of you blacks here in the Americas and the Caribbean islands got your surnames from the Jacobites that came into the colonies as prisoners of war from Oliver Cromwell, because they was fighting for King Charles Stewart, the Black Stewart family. All right. Another book is called Whence the Black Irish of Jamaica. All right. By Joseph J. Williams. This book more so talks about how the black men, women, and children were eradicated out of Ireland and sent to Barbados, from Barbados to Jamaica. And the beauty of this book, that it lists surnames, and it lists. I'm gonna go to the interlude. All right, it says, Mary Galt, writing from Jamaica in 1922, her chapter on the white bondsman state, to this boiling pot, Cromwell sent 1,000 Irishmen, black Irishmen, and 1,000 Irish women, black Irish women. I can find nothing but the bare notification that they arrive, and it hardly seems to me those 2,000 black Irish can have helped matters much, whether they were poor convicts or political prisoners. All right? So it's telling you that in 1745, 1756, it was black prisoners of war and their families, and black excuse me, and black political prisoners, all right? But it was prisoners of war and political prisoners, those that fought for King Charles, all right? They were getting exiled out of the colony, out of Europe, out of Ireland and Scotland, and sent to the Americas, including Jamaica, Barbados, Montserrat, all right? And I'm going to touch up on some names that was listed. But before I touch up on the names, I'm going to give y'all the slave trade that is not spoke about. It's the Bristol slave trade, all right? Government from the Irish swordsmen, the merchants of Bristol had agents treating with it for men, women, and girls to be sent to the sugar plantations to West Indies, all right? So if you look into the Bristol, you know Bristol was located in Europe, all right? I believe Ireland or England. Don't quote me, all right? They took the men, the black men, women, and children that was in Bristol and sent them to the West Indies on the sugar plantations. That history is all documented, and whence the black Irish of Jamaica. Whence the black Irish of Jamaica. All right? And this is another book. I haven't really got into it, but it's called Jews and Muslims in British Colonial America. This book explains how America founding fathers were Jews, Moors, and Muslims. I'm gonna go into the prefix, all right? And this book was written by Elizabeth Caldwell Hirschman. She also wrote When Scotland Was Jewish. I haven't got the book yet, but the book is fire from what I did read, all right? America have learned in elementary school that their country was founded by a group of brave white, largely British Christians. Modern reinterpretations recognize the contribution of African and indigenous Americans, but the basis premise has persisted. This groundbreaking study fundamentally challenges the traditional national storyline that postulating that many of the initial colonists were actually of sporadic Jewish and Muslim Moorish ancestry, supporting references including historical writings, ship manifests, wills, land grants, DNA test results, genealogy, and settler lists that provide for the first time the Spanish, Hebrew, Arabic, and Jewish origins of more than 5,000 surnames, all right? The majority widely assumed to be British by documenting the widespread presence of Jews and Muslims in prominent economic, political, financial, and social positions in all of the original colonies. This innovative work offers a fresh perspective on the early American experience, all right? So this book is fire from what I read, and I haven't read all of it yet, but it's fire, and I suggest all my scholars to get the book because it's refuting the lies, all right? It's painting a picture of our forefathers not only being indigent servants and slaves, but the creators of the beginning, the epoch of America. All right, this is called Memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mackey Esquire during the reign of King Williams, Queen Anne, and King George. All right, by John Mackey. All right, so now for all the people that's saying King Charles was in black, King James was in black, those that were in the British Isles weren't black. For those who's refuting them facts, get this book, because this book right here will let you know that all of King Charles' sons was black, and all of the nobles that was in the courts of Europe, of the British Isles, of King Charles, the Jacobites, were black. All right, this was a spying on the Jacobites, spying on how they was living. All right, and it came back that they were all black men ruling with an iron fist. All right, you want to go into some of this book? We could go into some of this book. All right. Now, this is Charles, Duke of Somerset, matter of the house. All right, he is of a middle stature, well shaped, a very black complexion, a lover of music and poetry, of good judgment, but by reason of a great hesitation in his speech. All right, we're gonna go to some more black brothers that were noted in this book. All right, this is Sidney, Lord Godolphin, Lord High Treasurer of England. All right, a low stature, thin, with a very black and stern countenance. All right, we're going to go to another one. Daniel, Earl of Nottingham, Secretary of State, eldest son to Mr. Finch, Lord Chancellor in the reign of King Charles II. Tall, he's a tall, thin, very black man, like a Spaniard or a Jew. So this book is letting you know that the Spaniards, yes, the Spaniards, and the Jews were black people, were melanated people. All right, we're Hebrews. All right, this book is bearing witness to it. All right. All right, you want to go to some more? Let's go to some more. Let's go to some more. I want to get a good one. All right, this is Charles Linus, Duke of Richmond. All right, so this is, I believe, King Charles' son. He's well shaped, black complexion, much like King Charles, not 30 years old. All right, so it's telling you he's well shaped, black complexion, much like King Charles. So it's telling you that King Charles is black. So bring out the pictures, y'all. We want to see the real pictures. We got to knock on the government door. We want to see the real pictures of King Charles I and King Charles II. Stop showing us these whitewashed fake images of our forefathers, all right? And give those with the surname Stewart their rightful rulership, because as I believe, they believed in the divine right of kings. The divine right of kings is that the Most High appoint kings, and they come from an ancient bloodline. All right. See, the Stuarts, they recognize their family back to the kings of Ireland, to Ferguson, and Ferguson go back to King Solomon and King David with Troy and Brutus, if I'm saying it right. So now I'm saying this history is entwined. This history is entwined in these books. You just have to be able to pick it up and read it. All right. This is another one. Charles, Duke of St. Albans, is son to King Charles II by Mrs. Gwynn. He is of a black complexion, not so tall as the Duke of Northumberland, yet very like King Charles, turned of 30 years old. So if it's saying that he's much like King Charles, it's telling you he's a black man. He is of a black complexion, all right? This is Charles Fitzroy, Duke of Grafton, A tall black man, about 25 years old. All right, so these is our black forefathers coming out of England, Ireland, and Scotland. All right, winded up in the Caribbean islands in North America, and some got scattered out to Africa. And we know this because their surname followed them. All right. This is a book called The Negro Question, Part 4, by Lee Cummings. I advise all of y'all to get this book. The Missing Link. It's called The Negro Question, Part 4, The Missing Link by Lee Cummings. All right. I'm going to go a little bit into what it's hitting at. It says, now a new science has emerged that has produced results that are in direct conflict with the history that is being taught in classrooms. That science and genetics. But what is this issue? This pebble in the stone that is pitting genetics against history. The world history that is being taught in the classrooms omit the existence of the black Scots, the black Irish, the black Brits, the black Italians, the black French, or the black Europeans that were sold directly into the American slave plantations. The history that is being taught in the classroom is in direct conflict with the eyewitnesses, the artifacts, the DNA, and surnames of the blacks in America. So what this book is saying, that with all the artifacts, with all the DNA, and with the surnames, it's all pointing that these Afro-European, these blacks in Americas were once Afro-European, a remnant of them, because they're still wearing their surnames, their English, Irish, and Scottish surnames, Italian, you know what I'm saying, and what have you. All right, I'm gonna go to a little more. Some people bear witness to our Afro-European forefathers. All right. It says, Professor Winchell Alexander, our remote ancestry, 1815 to 1900, collections of journals. These short black men came from Atlantis, northern Africa, and they overran Europe. They were known as Britons. All right. In northern Africa, we're not even going to get into that, but Roman history, Tacitus, the origins of the Black Britons, the Iberians are black people with curly hair. Anthropological Review Society, London, Volume 8. Joseph Ritson, Annals of Caledonian, Picts and Scots, Volume 2, page 7 to 27. The Picts, Brits are brown complexion with curly hair. All right, so once our brothers here in the Americas, because yes, we are Aboriginal here too. A lot of our ancestry go back there too. But the beauty is all of us here in the Americas, where the surname, so our forefathers that was whitewashed back in England, Ireland, and Scotland, Europe, and as a whole. All right, and what this do is this ties this bridge the gap between the blacks here in America and the foundational black Brits, the foundational black Brits. It joined a connection, because we are all interconnected with our surnames. All right, we all came here as either prisoners of war or black colonists or political prisoners. All right, or sailors. All right, a lot of us ain't come here as slaves. All right, the slaves were our forefathers, the Aboriginal blacks that were here. They became the slaves. All right, and once they tied in with the Afro-Europeans, once we started tying the families together, you know what I'm saying, they couldn't keep slavery, because now they don't know who's who. So slavery had to be abolished. They don't want to speak about that. They don't want to speak about black men fleeing from plantations trying to head back to Ireland and Scotland. All right, they don't want to teach that. All right. So yes, our forefathers left us with a rich history, and a lot of it is tied in our surnames. All we have to do is inquire. It don't hurt. You could find out three things. You could find out that you came from nobility of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. You could find out that you got your surname from a slave master, or you could find out that you're a black Edomite. Your forefather was a white Englishman slave master. You know, and this is why our scholars don't like to touch up on the surnames, because the surnames will open up Pandora's box. All right, it'll have people seeking reparation, land ownership, and what have you. Because back in Jamaica, back in Barbados, a lot of our mothers was being raped, was being fed to the colonists, the English colonists, for the bloodline, for colonists, the English colonists, for the bloodline, for the royal, so they could keep it somewhat pure. All right, they did that with our mothers, and they lost us and shipped us and shipped the hires, the actual male hires on the ships to North America, Africa, yes, Africa, and the West Indies. All right, and we know this because our surnames follow us. All right, our surnames are like ancient social security numbers. All right, it shows you this. It shows you the stock of people you from. If you could check any person with a surname, it'll show you who their forefathers are. It'll date them back to their forefathers. All right. Yeah, so it's something else I wanted to touch up on. All right, a lot of us being displaced into Africa. All right, you have groups like the Isan, Idu tribes, Isan, Idu, which they say that their forefathers Edom, Esau. And then you got the Yoruba tribe that goes back to Jacob, to you know, and a lot of people with in Ghana and West Africa and Nigeria, that's those that's a part of the Yoruba tribe is a remnant of them with English, Irish, and Scottish surnames. All right, a remnant. All right, a remnant in Africa with English, Irish, Scottish, Portuguese, and Spain surnames. All right, Spaniard surnames is a remnant of those in Africa with these English, Irish, these European surnames, and they did not get it from the slave master. I repeat, they did not get it by the slave master. They were being displaced from their heritage, from their hot, from what they were from their hire. You know what I'm saying? Because they were hires to the throne. So they was displaced. Excuse me. All right. I'm trying to find this little. All right. All right. Now, from 1774 to 1849, the Age of Revolution dismantled long-standing so-called black monarchies across Europe. This was not merely a political upheaval, it was an erasure of lineage, all right? So what they were doing was they was breaking up the bloodline. They were sending the black European kings to Africa, the West Indies, and America. They was raping our women from those from the royal lineage, raping them, breeding with them, and the rest sending them also to the British Isles, to the West Indies and America, all right? When they did that, they completely wiped out our history, almost to the point that it was almost of no return. But thank God our forefathers wrote these books, all right? So now, they was also sending the black Edomites that was in England, Ireland, and Scotland. Because yes, black YTs, when I say YT, I'm not talking about skin complexion. I'm talking about bloodline. They send black YT Edomites to Africa too. Those are the Isan, Yoruba people. Excuse me, Isan, the Idun people, IDU, or IDO people. They sent them to Africa, and a lot of the European the YT Africans have rulership in Africa right now. And you could tell by checking those African rulers who hold the scepter and the orb. All right? So you'll know that they're Edomite, black Edomite African kings, because they have the scepter and the orb. All right? Being in that, and when they got the scepter and the orb, that's saying that they, that's claiming who they are, claiming their lineage. All right? In Africa, that's not a thing in Africa. That's not a Hamite custom at all. Scepter and the orb, that's not a Hamite custom. That's a Shemite custom, a European custom. All right? So-called black European rulers were systematically overthrown, exiled, and replaced by manufactured monarchs without legitimate ancestry or rightful claim to the throne. All right? So once they eradicated the royals out of England, Ireland, and Scotland, they put a carbon copy, an Edomite YT carbon copy, pale carbon copy, all right, who may have royal Negro blood through the maternal side running through their vein, all right, and now they're ruling, now they're in rulership. But that was all biblical prophecy. The Most High told us that we will go, the heathen that's underneath us will rise up high above us. All right? He said his princes will be servants and the servants will be princes. All right? That's what he said Edom would do to us, and sure enough it came to pass. All right? The newly formed nation state sought to expel their rulers and rewrite history, which they did. The upheaval led directly to the scramble for Africa in 1881 to 1940, where exiled monarchs were relocated under the guise of colonization. All right? What we call imperial expansion was really a forced transfer of rulers and elaborated cover-up for the abduction and displacement of so-called black European rulers. All right? So them sending us, them eradicating us, and this was all behind the guise of the Roman Catholic Church law. All right? So when they was sending us to the Africa, to west of the to the West Indies, to the Americas, it was to make us forget that we ever existed as kings in Europe. All right? That our blood, it was to make us forget that the bloodline was strong in Europe, that we were the judges. All right? That upheaval, that displacement, mentally. So a forced transfer to their respective colonies in Africa, where they were neutralized with African names and titles. All right? See, and that's what happened in Africa. But not all of them. All of them was not neutralized with African names. All right? Because some of them still bear their English, Irish, Scottish, their European names. All right? In the Americas, we wasn't neutralized from our names. We just got mentally brainwashed to believe that our names was given to us by slave masters, by Edomites, all right, which was emphatically incorrect. Not saying that it didn't happen, because it did happen probably in a small fraction, a very small. It was just that narrative got put in our face in cinematically, just like the slave narrative. It been placed in our peripheral as if this was what really happened. All right, but that wasn't. It was just the TV, the movies. All right. During the reign, monarchs can wear the British crown, and we talked about the scepter and the orb. All right. So, doing my intense research, I found most of the slave masters in the epoch of the colonial America was black and wax pale, mixing with white English and Polish women. I'm learning these so-called white slave masters are Moors from Europe who wax pale. That's what I'm learning. Not in all cases, but in some cases. Alright? So I'm going to sign off. This is the House of St. Nicholas. I hope y'all was edified. Knowledge shall increase. Shalom.